Scientists have said that we have to cut carbon pollution by about half by 2030 if we want to limit warming to 1.5 degrees, right? In Hawaii, that would probably mean doubling renewable energy. So from about 40% today to ideally 80% by 2030. You know, a lot of the time when we have invested in clean, renewable energy resources, it's been during moments of energy crises when the oil price is quite high. So if you go back to the 1970s, for example, when President Carter was in office, that was a time when really important policies were passed that enabled a bunch of new technologies, really early scale solar technologies, wind companies. It was really amazing. But when President Reagan came into office, he reversed a lot of those investments.
And took the panels off the White House.
Yeah, both metaphorically and literally. Yes. And that was quite tragic. I remember when I was reading some of the archives and looking at the 1990s, and watching all these solar and wind companies that were incredibly innovative go bankrupt, sold for cents on the dollar, for example, to Europe. You know, the United States really lost a lot of its leadership and in the clean energy space when it pulled back from clean energy in the 90s. And when you have these boom and bust cycles in policy making, it creates a lack of certainty for the industry, which drives up costs for the transition and also really slows it down. So that was the sad story. We could have had electric cars a lot earlier. We could have had solar panels cheaper a lot earlier, and wind turbines too. But the sort of starting and stopping of the policy has been a problem. The fossil fuel industry makes an enormous amount of money in torching the planet. That's just the facts. If we say we have to use less fossil fuels, there are some people, not a lot, but a very powerful group of people who will make less money. And those industries are, of course, quite heavily unionized and historically have paid workers pretty good payments and so for their income. And so it has been challenging to get both companies as well as sometimes unions in the fossil fuel industry to support the clean energy transition. And particularly when it comes to corporations, they have given an enormous amount of money to the Republican Party. People may not know this, but the Koch Industries company, the Koch brothers, is actually a fossil fuel company, and they have put an enormous amount into the Republican Party. And so, for example, Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island talks a lot about how the Republican Party is kind of bought at the national level by the fossil fuel industry. And that dynamic has made it really hard to make more progress on climate policy at the national level. Yeah, so what has happened with coal plants is that they have a lot of debt still in them. You know, coal plants may have been built decades ago, but they had to put more money into these projects because they had to put pollution control technology on them. And as a result, there's still hundreds of millions of dollars of debt on, for example, a single plant. So it's a huge amount of money right now in these coal plants. And the problem is that the coal plants need to keep running. They have to keep making electricity in order to get money from people so that they can pay back that debt. You could shut down a coal plant tomorrow, put up a wind project, and save people money. Keeping that coal plant open is actually about making money for those coal plant owners. It's not about delivering cheap electricity. Even with the electricity mix today in Hawaii, if you use an electric vehicle rather than a traditional gas-powered car, you're going to cut your pollution by about half already. And the EV is only going to get cleaner as the years go by, right? Because what's happening is that we're putting on more and more renewable resources onto the grid. And so the grid is going to get cleaner. And as you fuel up your car, that's going to get cleaner too. So That can really never happen with a gas-powered car, right? You're gonna put oil in it from now until the last day you drive it. But with an EV, not only is it cleaner today to be driving that car, it's going to get even cleaner. And one thing I showed was that right now in Vermont, it's actually a 100% renewable grid. And so if you plug your EV into the Vermont grid, you have no carbon pollution as you drive around. And that will be the future for Hawaii. I think that there's a wonderful idea that's actually implemented in Hawaii, which is on-bill financing for retrofits of your home for things like energy efficiency, solar panels, all this great clean stuff that we're talking about. How does that work? Well, you can actually do it already in Hawaii using the Hawaii Community Investment Authority, an amazing organization that would allow you to basically get some money up front and use it to, let's say, put solar on your roof, or maybe do some efficiency work, make your home cheaper to operate. And then you pay it back through your electricity bill. But believe it or not, if you do this, your electricity bill is going to go down from the very first month. So you save money and you get to do the right thing.